Hey everyone, I'm Lee, and today I'm going to do a video on how to create a progress circle in C# using WPF. It's a little bit different speed than what I usually do. I usually do videos for Blender, but today I'm going to do a programming video. I just felt like the thing to do. I'm going to be using Blend and Visual Studio. Blend is an application that helps create user interfaces easily, so I'm going to use that. And in Visual Studio, if you don't have Blend, you will have to get the Expression Blend SDK from Microsoft. It's a software development kit that will let you use the code created by Blend without actually having it installed. I'm going to include a link to that and a link to the source code, the finished product, in the description below the video. I'm going to move through this pretty quick, so if you need to pause and rewind as needed, that's great. So I've already got the project started. You start out in Blend with this main window and a grid. I'm going to be using shapes to create other shapes. So I'm going to be working with the shapes category in the assets window. The first thing we need to add is an ellipse. And this is going to be the background of our progress circle. So what we want to do is we want it to fill the entire screen. We're going to turn this into a user control when we're done. So we're going to set the width and the height to auto, the horizontal and vertical alignment to stretch, and make it have no margins. And now it fills up the entire area of the grid. Pardon me. Then we're going to add another ellipse here, and we're going to do all the same things. Auto on the width and the height. We need to set the horizontal and vertical alignments to stretch. Now with this one, we actually want it to have a margin. We're going to have a big margin here. And I've got the window. I've got the window size set to 300 by 300. So what we're actually working with is fairly large. Okay, and now the next thing we need to add here is we want to add an arc. We want to do all the same things with the arc. We go auto. Stretch on the horizontal alignment. Auto. There we go. And we don't want any margins on this. Okay, so what we do want here is the arc thickness. We want that to be about 15. Maybe not quite so much. Maybe 12 will work. And I'm going to select the background and change its background brush, or its fill brush, so we can see the difference here. Okay, so now we have pardon me. Now we have the arc, and we want the end angle of the arc to be 360. That way it's a full circle there. I'm sure you can kind of see what's going on now. If you can't, you'll get the picture soon. Okay, so if we stretch this out as it is, if we resize everything, you end up with the center part there being really small, and we don't want that. And this is where blend comes in handy. We can actually take these two shapes. You select both of them. We can take these two shapes and we can merge them together. So I've selected them both. I'm going to go to our object, combine, and then unite. And that takes those two shapes and turns them into one path. And now as you resize it, it resizes everything to scale. And I want to undo that because the arc thickness is not quite enough. Okay, so we'll combine it. Excuse me. So now as you resize it, you can see that that everything scales like it should, which is what we want. It's what we're going for. Okay, so this is going to act as our border. It's gonna be the cover. So we're going to name this border. And now we need, well, it's a progress circle, so we need an indicator, something to indicate the progress. And for that, we're going to use another arc. Now we want this before the background or before the border, before the background, after the border. So that way, it's between them. All right. We're going to do all the same things here. Auto. Now on this one, we want the arc thickness to be, we'll give it a really high number. And that way, no matter how big we stretch it out, it always points to the middle. It always fills up the entire pie piece. Otherwise, let's go 30. See how it's not filling up the entire area there? So we want it to always fill up the entire area there. And this is going to act as our indicator. So, indicator. And that is pretty much it for the design portion of it. We're going to work with brushes here in a little bit, but we're going to do that with the code behind as well. So, we can go ahead and move over to the code window here. And we're going to copy it. Copy all these controls. We're going to copy. And move over to Visual Studio here. And we're going to paste them right there in the grid. Okay. And you'll notice that, well, you get invalid markup. And the reason that happens when you paste it in there is because you need a reference to Microsoft Expression Drawing. Pardon me. And on my computer, that's in Program Files x86, Microsoft SDKs, Expression, Blend, .NET Framework 4.5, libraries. If you download and install the Expression Blend SDK, that's where it should be as well. So I've already got the reference there. But after you add the reference, you need to reference the namespace. And I'm just going to type drawing. Pardon me. And now we have a user control, which I've already created the user control. I just pasted it in there. We have a user control that we can use. Something that I didn't even think about. All of these are shapes, so they all have a stroke value by default, and they're all set to black. I'm going to erase all of those so we don't have any strokes. There's no border around it. All right. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to create dependency properties for brushes. We want these parts here to be associated with a brush. We need one for the background, one for the indicator, and one for the border. So let's go to the code behind. And I have a handy little tool that I made. It's an extension for Visual Studio that'll rush this right along. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of that real quick. But you will have to create your dependency properties by hand, because this extension is not in the extensions manager. Okay, so the way my thing works, I just write out variables, and I right click on it and create dependency property, and it converts those variables, or the variables, the fields, it converts them into dependency properties and actually creates properties for them. It saves a lot of time. Okay, so we have our brushes here, and to use them in our XAML here, we need to create a name for our user control. So we're going to go X name, and when we do that, we can reference the instance, like whatever instance of the user control is being ran at that moment, we can reference that instance. We're going to use a binding element name equals this path background brush. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing here. Element name, indicator brush. Oh, path equals. There we go. And now I'm going to way over here, because creating that shape took a lot of code. We're going to do the same thing. Binding element name, this path. I named that progress border brush. And the reason I called it that is because there's already a border brush. And I think there's a border property too. I can't remember for sure. Okay, so the last thing that we need to do here, and I told you it's a snap. It's real easy to do this. The last thing that we need to do is we need to associate how much of the pie is filled with our arc here, how much of an angle we have. We need to associate that with the value of our progress bar, or our progress circle, rather. I'm going to go back to the code here, and I'm going to create a dependency property for value. All right. Now we have our value property, but we can't just associate. We can't bind that to our value property because the value is generally going to range between 0 and 100. And 100 angle is, well, let's see. It's that, which is not nearly full. So what we need to do is we need to create a converter. We're going to call this this converter, we'll call it value to angle converter. And it's going to inherit I value converter. And instead of typing all this out, I am going to implement the interface. Okay, so we need to convert this value here, which is an integer. We need to convert that into a degree. And to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to get the percentage of the degree using a little bit of math. I'm going to go return. And the end angle value of the progress bar, or the arc, the end angle value is a double, so we're going to convert this to a double. 3. .01 times 360. There. Okay, so it's going to take the value. And, okay, so say our value is 50. It's going to take our value and multiply it by 0.01, which is that's going to make it 0.5. That's half. And then multiply half by 360. That's 180. So the end angle of the arc is going to be 180, which is exactly what we want. Now to convert it back, we need to do... We're going to return an integer because it's the value. This time we're going to convert our value to a double. I don't need 3 of those. And then divide it by 360, which is going to take 180 divided by 360 is 0.5. And then multiply that by 100, which is going to take our 0.5 and change it back into 50, which is exactly what we're going for here. Just for the sake of posterity, we're going to value conversion. type of int. Type of double. All right. So if we build a solution here, shouldn't get any errors. We build our solution here. We should see that we can add it to our main window. So I'm going to go ahead and add an instance of it. It's really big. It doesn't need to be that big. Do 100 by 100. Okay. So everything is white. It's all transparent. So we're just going to give this a brush. No, not that a brush. We're going to give this a brush. And for some reason, I cannot change it. So I'll just change it in code. We're going to do Blackworks. Border brush. Oh no, we want our progress border brush. We want that to be silver. Okay. And then our indicator brush we want to be Dodger blue. How about that? Okay. So I didn't actually associate this with the value. Okay, so we have our code, our value converter in the code behind, but we need to bind that converter into something usable in the XAML. And to do that, we need to add a resource. I'm going to go user control dot resources. We can't use it. We need to add the XML namespace. Call it local, like every other time, and control examples. All right, so we have our XML namespace to reference our value converter. We're going to use local value to int angle converter x key so we add our reference like that. Now we can use that to bind our end angle. I'm going to go static resource value to int path. We'll do element name first. This path equals value. Okay, so now we can save it. We'll rebuild our project here. Now as we change our value, it should change the indicator, which it is doing. That is exactly what we were going for. And that is our progress indicator, our progress circle. If you want to make more properties, like you could add a label in here to actually show the numeric value of the progress circle, or you can do all kinds of stuff. There's not a whole lot of stuff you can't do with WPF. It's really pretty nifty. But our progress circle is done. If you have any questions, comments, anything like that, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. I would sure appreciate that. So thanks for watching.